A $7.5 billion sale killed what people actually paid for at Panera Bread. For almost 30 years, Panera was the slightly better version of lunch. A fireplace in the corner, bread baked fresh that morning. People trusted it enough to pay a little more, and the food earned that trust every time. Then Jab Holding bought the brand. Prices climbed 68%. Portions shrank. The bread went frozen. And Panera's own CEO eventually stood in front of investors and described what customers were walking into: a sandwich up significantly in price, with lower quality ingredients in a smaller size. How does the #1 fast casual chain in America end up here? And why did nobody say anything while it was happening? 1987, Kirkwood, Missouri. Ken and Linda Rosenthal opened a small bakery called the St. Louis Bread Company. The concept was not complicated. Real fresh-baked sourdough baked on site every morning. Ceramic mugs for coffee. Comfortable booths. A room where bread racks sat visible behind the counter, where the smell hit you before the door fully closed. It was the kind of place people drove past faster options to reach. The food was good, the feeling was better. It felt deliberate in a way that most lunch choices did not. In 1993, Au Bon Pain bought the St. Louis Bread Company for approximately $23 million. The CEO at the time was a Harvard MBA named Ron Shaich, and he saw something the press coverage missed entirely. Shaich believed fresh-baked bread could define a new category of American dining, something between fast food and a sit-down restaurant. He renamed the chain Panera Bread, a word rooted in the Latin for breadbasket. The problem was scale. Every chain that tried to grow on fresh food eventually hit the same wall. The bigger you got, the harder it became to keep the product real. Most of them froze the dough, automated the kitchens, and called it close enough. Panera was heading the same direction. But Shaich built a different answer. Fresh dough facilities, centralized kitchens that mixed and portioned real dough every single day, then shipped it to individual stores before sunrise for final baking on site. The bread stayed fresh. The stores still smelled like a real bakery every morning. Panera figured out how to grow without breaking the thing that made it worth choosing. It worked beyond what anyone expected. By the middle of the 2000s, Panera had 2,000 locations and the #1 spot in American fast casual dining. Fireplace seating in hundreds of locations. Free Wi-Fi before that was standard anywhere. You could smell the bread from the parking lot. People built weekly habits around it. The Tuesday lunch spot, the work-from-home cafe, the place you brought someone when you wanted the meal to feel considered. It was the third place before Starbucks made that a marketing term. Not home, not work. The place you stayed an hour longer than you planned. Analysts called it the future of American dining. For a decade, it looked like they were right. At the peak of everything Shaich had built, he sold it. In 2017, Jab Holding Company, a private European investment firm controlled by the Raymond family, paid $7.5 billion to take Panera private. Ron Shaich called it a win, and he stayed on briefly as executive chairman. But about 5 months after the deal closed, Shaich stepped down and walked away. The people who built Panera from a Missouri bakery were gone. Jab already owned Krispy Kreme, Caribou Coffee, and Einstein Bros Bagels. Their approach across every acquisition followed the same pattern: acquire the brand, consolidate the operations, find the margin. At Panera, the cuts started quietly enough that customers felt them before they could name them. The fireplace seating stayed, the logo stayed, the bakery cafe signage stayed. But sandwich portions got incrementally lighter. Prices kept climbing. The ceramic mugs disappeared from most locations, replaced by paper cups. The bread racks behind the counter became less visible as the bakery identity slowly moved to the background. Mobile order pickup shelving appeared at the front counter where the ordering line used to be. Within a year, longtime Panera regulars across the country were saying the same thing. Something is different. It just does not feel the same anymore. They kept coming back because the brand still looked like Panera. But the thing they were actually paying for, that feeling of a more considered lunch, was getting harder to find. and nobody at Panera said anything about it. In early 2024, internal company documents obtained by Reuters showed Panera directing stores to remove signage containing the phrases "no antibiotics ever," "vegetarian-fed," "grass-fed pasture-raised," and "animal welfare," with a compliance deadline of March 27th. 3 additives were quietly removed from the no-no list. That public commitment to clean ingredients was published in 2015 and declared fully achieved in 2017, the same year JAB bought the brand. The change was projected to save $21 million annually. The marketing still said clean food. The packaging still said food as it should be. Panera made no public announcement. Customers were not told. Stores received new instructions. Sourcing contracts changed quietly, and the marketing kept running as if nothing had changed. That cost-cutting logic showed up in everything customers were noticing at the table. The romaine in the salads had been replaced with a cheaper iceberg blend. Cherry tomatoes arrived unsliced. Avocados came halved for customers to cut themselves. Salads had been reduced from 8 ingredients to 5. Sandwich portions were smaller, and prices across the menu had climbed an average of 68% since the acquisition. The experience kept getting thinner. The price kept going up. The brand kept its premium identity. The product behind it did not. In November 2025, Panera CEO Paul Carbone went on CNBC and described what had happened in one sentence. "Guests would walk into our cafe," he said, "to buy a sandwich that has gone up significantly in price, with lower quality ingredients in a smaller size." He called it death by 1,000 cuts. He said he was a reformed CFO, acknowledging that he had been part of the cost-cutting himself before becoming CEO. It was candid. It was also several years after the customers had already left. System-wide sales fell 5 to 6% in 2024, dropping from roughly $6.4 billion to $6.1 billion. Panera fell from number 1 in American fast casual dining to number 3, behind Chipotle and Panda Express, 2 chains that had spent years chasing Panera. Chipotle still prepared food in front of customers every single day. Panera claimed to be premium and became neither premium nor affordable. In April 2025, Panera announced what it called a bakery transformation. All 9 remaining fresh dough facilities in the United States would be shut down over the following 18 to 24 months. The centralized kitchens Ron Shaich had built to keep Panera's bread real for 3 decades were gone. They would be replaced by frozen par-baked loaves shipped from third-party suppliers and finished in store ovens. Bakers across the country lost their jobs. The early morning deliveries that made every Panera smell like an actual bakery were eliminated. The prices stayed. A company called Panera Bread, which means bread basket, no longer bakes bread. The franchisees felt it before anyone admitted it publicly. After royalties, marketing fees, mandatory remodels, and rising food costs, operating a Panera had gone from profitable to borderline. In August 2025, a Houston operator named Eduardo Diaz, who had run 15 locations since 2019, filed for bankruptcy, carrying over $10 million in debt. Panera's response was to terminate all 15 franchise agreements and file a lawsuit. Every location closed the same day. Hundreds of employees lost their jobs overnight with no warning. In November 2025, Carbone unveiled Panera Rise, a 3-year turnaround strategy targeting $7 billion in system-wide sales, larger portions, better ingredients, more locations. The fresh dough does not come back. The prices do not come down. The first value menu Panera ever launched, introduced in February 2026, required a minimum 2-item purchase and quietly replaced the cheaper options it discontinued. Customers called it a price increase in disguise. Chipotle still prepares food in front of customers every single day. Cava is one of the fastest growing chains in the country, built on fresh ingredients and a clear identity. Ron Shaich, the founder who built Panera into the #1 fast casual chain in America, is now the chairman of Cava's board of directors. The brand eating Panera's lunch was built by the man Panera let walk out the door in 2017. Carboni says the brand is still relevant. The franchise economics are still broken. The fresh dough is still gone. The prices are still up 68%. The real question is not whether Panera can hit $7 billion in sales by 2028. The question is whether a brand can rebuild the trust it quietly decided to stop earning.